Good evening and welcome to the June 16th, 2025 Zoning Hearing Master Meeting. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley and I'll be your hearing master this evening. Before we get started with the meeting, if you will please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, thank you again. I'm Pamela Jo Hatley, and I'll be your zoning hearing master this evening. I would like to introduce Ms. Michelle Heinrich of the Hillsborough County Development Services Department. Ms. Heinrich will introduce any agenda changes and will also read, no, we don't do that anymore, do we? Read the published agenda changes. So, and introduce staff.
Sure. Just to introduce staff quickly, with the County Attorney's Office, we have Mary Doyman, and with the Planning Commission, we have Willow Mickey, and with Transportation on the other side, we have James Ratliff, and we only have one unpublished continuance request, which is agenda page 8, item D2 PD 24-1257. The applicant is requesting a continuance to the August 18th, 2025 ZHM hearing, and this does require your approvals, and the applicant is here to make that request.
Thank you. All right, is the applicant here then for, this is item D2, rezoning PD 24-1257.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Colin Rice, the law firm of Boulder Lundy, 1000 West Cass. As Ms. Heinrich had stated, we are requesting a continuance to August. We're in a good spot here, but there are a lot of coordinated properties and improvements with respect to the roadway expansion that we just want a little more time to coordinate. I'm not aware of any opposition, so respectfully request your approval.
Okay. All right. So this is just for a continuance to the August 18th, 2025 zoning hearing master meeting. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak just to the request for a continuance for this item? All right, I'm not hearing anyone. Then I'll grant the continuance. And this is rezoning PD 24-1257. It's being continued, or this case is continued to the August 18th, 2025 zoning hearing master meeting. Okay, thank you. All right. Just some meeting procedures then before we get started. First of all, the agenda items tonight consist of items that require a public hearing before a hearing master, before they go before the Board of County Commissioners for a final decision. I will conduct a hearing on each item today and will submit written recommendations. My written recommendations will be filed with the clerk of the board within 15 working days after the conclusion of today's public hearings. The Board of County Commissioners will consider the record of today's public hearings and my recommendation, and will make the final decisions on each application at a publicly noticed meeting on a date and time set by the Board of County Commissioners. The hearings today will be informal. I will ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony and may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate. I will decide all questions of procedure. I will take evidence, but I will exclude evidence that is irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. Evidence may be presented in written form, and all testimony shall be under oath. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding of fact unless it would be admissible over objections in a civil court action. The order of presentation today will be as follows. First, County Development Services will introduce each item. Then the applicant and the applicant's witnesses will have 15 minutes to present the proposal. County Development Services will have 5 minutes to present its findings and recommendations. Planning Commissions will have 5 minutes to present its finding of compliance or non-compliance with a comprehensive plan. Proponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments in support of the proposal. Opponents will have 15 minutes to present arguments against the proposal. Then county staff will have 5 minutes to present any amended recommendations. and the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal and summation. The 15 minutes for proponents and opponents is the total time allotted among all speakers. If there are a number of persons who wish to speak on an item, the 15 minutes will be distributed among those speakers. And if there are a number of speakers on an item, you may designate a single spokesperson to represent your views. When you come to the microphone tonight to speak, please first state your name and address for the record. The meeting is being recorded, so please speak into the microphone so your testimony can be heard and recorded. When you're finished speaking, please see the clerk to my left to sign in for the record. And now we'll hear from the county attorney's office regarding legal requirements for requesting oral argument at the public meeting where the Board of County Commissioners will make the final decision on each item.
Good evening, Mary Dorman from the county attorney's office. Tonight's public hearing is the first step of a two-step rezoning process. This hearing is the time for rezoning applicants and interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Any evidence presented tonight will become part of the complete factual record of each application, and no additional evidence can be introduced after the closing of each application. The second step of the rezoning process is a public meeting before the Board of County Commissioners, where the board will make a decision on each application heard tonight. Tonight's applications are scheduled to be heard by the board at its August 12th, 2025 land use meeting, unless a different date is stated by staff. When considering applications, the board will only review the record and the recommendation made by the land use hearing officer for each application. The land use hearing officer will file a recommendation for each application heard tonight on July 9th, 2025. The Board of County Commissioners has established a policy that directs which rezoning and major modification applications are to be placed on the consent agenda of the board's land use meeting. The following applications may not be placed on the consent agenda: applications that propose to add density outside the urban service area, applications on roadways with a failing level of service, applications that do not have consistent recommendations of approval or denial, and applications that have had evidence or testimony provided to the record by non-applicant parties of record, either prior to or at tonight's public hearing. The board will allow testimony by any party of record at its public meeting to consider the land use hearing officer's recommendation for any item on the regular agenda. Testimony by a party of record shall be limited to the record of the proceeding before the land use hearing officer unless additional evidence has been found admissible in accordance with Section 10.03.04D of the Land Development Code. A party of record is an individual who fits into at least one of the following four categories. First, someone who's present tonight and presents testimony or documentary evidence. Second, someone who has been certified by the U.S. Postal Service as having been mailed notice of tonight's hearing. Third, someone who submitted documentary evidence to the master file at least 2 business days prior to tonight's hearing. Or fourth, someone who submitted documentary evidence by proxy at tonight's hearing. The content of oral argument before the board shall be limited to the content of the testimony and other evidence submitted verbally or in writing to the land use hearing officer. It is the role of the county attorney's office to ensure that only individuals who have met these requirements are allowed to speak before the board and to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is introduced or allowed at the board's public meeting. For these reasons, please make it sure that all information you wish the board to consider at its public meeting is entered into tonight's record.
Thank you, Ms. Dorman. All right, all testimony tonight must be under oath. So if you plan to speak, please stand and raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. If there's anyone online who plans to speak, please also raise your hand to be sworn in. All right, do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank
I
you.
do.
All right, I believe we're ready to hear the first case, please.
Our first item is item D1, Major Mod 24-0675. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 10-0692 Tim Lampkin with Development Services will present staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Cami Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward & Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, Tampa, Florida. And I am here representing the applicant, Turkey Creek Preserve, which is the owner of the eastern side of this parcel. This is the Energy Industrial Park. I think it has a new name, site. And it actually has two owners, University Energy Park and Turkey Creek Preserve. University Energy Park is included in the application because what you'll see during the presentation is that we're allocating the land uses between the two parties. And with that, I'll have Chris O'Neill come up and give the presentation.
Okay, then just to be clear, there's two owners of all the property total,
Yes.
and both owners are part of the application.
Yes, but
All
I
right.
am representing Turkey Creek Preserve.
I understand, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Hearing Officer. Chris McNeil, 15957 North Florida Avenue, McNeil Engineering, on behalf of the applicant. To continue on with Ms. Corbett's comment there regarding the two owners, as you can see here on the right side of the screen in a green, that's the Turkey Creek properties. And on the left side in the blue, it's got a little tint to it from the aerial behind it, but that is the University Energy Park. It's separated by or bisected by the Turkey Creek itself. The request, well, before I get to that, this approved uses are from the original general site plan, which is the energy focus and also non-energy related. There's 7.35 million square feet of non-energy uses that are approved. And we're not asking for any additional square footage, nor are we asking for any additional uses, but there are some subtlety with that in here. Just a second, I'll explain. But we are no residential use requested. This is the approved general site plan. I'll come back to that in just a second. This is the proposed site plan, so you can see here the Turkey Creek properties in red, outlined in red, and the University Energy Park in blue. With that, with the need to address two different developers, the initial approval was really just for one development, and so now we're trying to split that up so that each owner can do their own thing. So to do that, we allocated the entitlements for the not only the energy uses, but also the non-energy entitlements, or non-renewable energy uses, as you can see there at the bottom. That splits 12 and 88, if you didn't catch that. The subtlety I mentioned about the uses, so there's no additional uses requested, but we are requesting that the commercial and office be allowed in pocket C1, which you can see. This is a comparison on the left side, what is approved versus what we're proposing. So on the left side, those pocket A that are in green, that's where the commercial and office are allowed now. The request includes to allow that in pocket C1, which is east of Turkey Creek, you can see. And the second request is to allow the energy research and manufacturing on pocket G and H1, which is also shown on the east side of Turkey Creek properties adjacent to Turkey Creek Road. And with that, we're available for any questions. We also have Michael Yates here from Palm Traffic if there are any questions regarding traffic. And Cami.
All right, thank you.
Cami Corbett again. Also, as housekeeping, we do have a revised staff report for you that Mr. Lampkin and Mr. Ratliff will provide to you. We agree with those revised conditions, and it's EIP now means an Energy Innovation Park.
Okay,
So,
thank
and again,
you.
here for any questions should you have any.
No, I think it's quite clear. I don't have any questions for you. Make sure both of y'all sign in too, please, Mr. McNeil. Thank you.
Good evening, Tim Lampkin, Hillsborough County Development Services. So the proposed modification, it's requesting to allow blending of the energy uses and industrial uses within the PPD to permit, as the applicant stated, already allowed uses to be located in their proposed subpockets, and to allow commercial uses in a 17-acre subpocket located along State Road 60. More specifically, the applicant proposes to amend the following. Allow proposed subpocket H, comprising approximately 119 acres, to develop with industrial research, manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution. To allow subpocket C1, which is another new pocket comprising 17 acres to develop with commercial and office, and to allow industrial research, manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution within Pocket G. Additionally, there was a comprehensive plan amendment that was initially concurrent, but then it was separated out a couple months ago to move forward. That was Comprehensive Plan Amendment 23-15. It amended the text of the Energy Innovation Park element of the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and that was approved on April the 10th, 2025. In part, the comprehensive plan added language regarding where there is more than one owner within the plan development, the land area for the energy uses may be allocated between the property owners under Comp Plan Policy 59-1. And that's what the applicant was explaining, so they parsed it out. The applicant is representing the whole ality of the Energy Innovation Park. Staff will note there is, as was previously stated, there is a revised staff report that was amended. There were revised transportation conditions that were handed to the clerk, and I believe also handed to you by Ashley. And I noticed in a couple of additional amendments would be on page 10 of 31 under transportation. FDOT also provided amended comments this morning where they no longer object to the application. The subject property is located on just under 3,000 acres. It's southwest of East State Road 60 and South Dover Road and west of Turkey Creek Drive. And the energy uses are not being proposed to change. They were initially approved per 10-0692, and they included minimum amounts of different energy types, alternate energy types, including wind, solar, biomass gasification, aquaculture, hydroponics, and algae systems. The request basically apportions the energy use requirements between the two property owners of the EIP, and additionally flexibility to construct the energy uses within the overall PID, whereas the current PD requires a minimum of 2 different energy uses. The applicant also requests to allow the greater blending of the energy uses and industrial uses within the PD to permit allowed uses to be located in the proposed sub-pockets. And the proposed new locations of the existing uses would be via the creation of sub-pockets, with the exception of Pocket G. The applicant does not propose to expand the minimum square footage of any of the uses, and only allows an overall expansion of the location of the uses, providing what could be a more synergistic development. The applicant has not requested any variations from the general site development requirements found in Part 6.0500, parking and loading, 6.06.00, landscaping, irrigation and buffering, 6.0700, fences and walls, and will be required to comply with all of the requirements of the LDC. The Planning Commission also found the major modification consistent, and based upon the above, staff finds the request approvable. The changes, there was an additional sheet that was passed out that had 2 of the change conditions, and that was condition 1. In condition 1, there was, under the second paragraph, it was struck through and it was put in the 5th paragraph, and that was determined that it was not needed because it's basically already required in the Land Development Code, Article 10. And then the last, the second would be striking through condition 19. And then there was, in the transportation report, there's a new condition 9 that was passed out. And that concludes staff's presentation, unless you have any questions.
I have no questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Planning Commission?
Willamette Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located south of State Road 60, east of Dover Road, west of Turkey Creek Road, and north of Durant Road. The site is in the urban service area and is not located within the limits of a community plan. The applicant is requesting a major modification to PD 100692 to allow commercial and office uses in Pocket C1, to allow industrial uses within Pockets G and H1, and to modify the energy use minimum area from 40% to 20% based upon two recently adopted privately initiated text amendments, HCCPA 2315 and HCCPA 2406. Both plan amendments were adopted by the Board of County Commissioners at their public hearing on April 10, 2025, and were subsequently sent to the Florida Department of Commerce for state review. The proposed development of energy uses, commercial, office, agriculture, and industrial uses is compatible with the surrounding development pattern, which includes residential, agricultural, and public institutional uses, as well as commercial lands. The site is located within the Energy Innovation Park Future Land Use category. Future Land Use Section Policy 4.16.1 requires that a minimum of 20% of the gross land area within the EIP category be dedicated to alternative energy production, and industrial uses shall not exceed 30% of the gross land area of the EIP development. The proposal is consistent with this policy direction. This policy also emphasizes the importance of providing agricultural uses to strengthen the overall agricultural economy. Agricultural uses are allowable in Pockets D, F, G, H, H1E, and parts of B and C, which is consistent with this policy direction. The Hillsborough County Development Services Department has proposed a condition of approval that would require the applicant to provide additional screening and buffering in locations adjacent to residential uses or zoning that are adjacent to the EIP site. The EIP development would concentrate the most intensive uses in the northern area of the property adjacent to State Road 60, while allowing energy uses and agricultural uses in the central and southern portions of the EIP site. With the mitigative efforts, the proposed industrial uses along Turkey Creek Road will blend in better with the surrounding agricultural, rural residential, and public quasi-public land uses, consistent with Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1 related to compatibility. Lastly, the applicant is proposing 15% of the site be dedicated to open space per FLU Policy 4.16.5, which requires that open space comprise no less of 15% of the Energy Innovation Park site. Based upon the above considerations and the following goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who was I'm sorry, just one moment. Transportation.
Sorry, thank you. For the record, James Ratliff, Transportation Development Services. Just to kind of go into a little bit more detail, there was the change to Condition 9. The condition had originally, had not been proposed to be edited to remove the cross-connectivity. That change was made, and the applicant wanted to introduce the concept of feasibility with respect to the interconnectivity requirement that was existing on the east side, and so we did tweak that language somewhat a little bit for that reason. Condition 19 was struck because it was requiring that cross-connectivity. That's no longer reflected on the site plan. And then we modified some of the other prior to certification conditions as well. But I did want to let you know that online there is Donald Marco with the Florida Department of Transportation, who I believe would like to submit something additional into the record and provide some testimony tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Ratliff. I believe that has the clerk received the memorandum dated today's date that was issued from my desk?
Okay, this is the Florida Department of Transportation?
That is correct.
Yes, I have that, and I believe that's in the record. Also, would you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, ma'am. I am Donald Marco. I am the District Access Management Engineer for FDOT District 7. Did you, since I'm reporting with regard to the memorandum, did you want my office address or my home address, ma'am?
Office address is fine, thank you.
11201 McKinley Drive, Tampa, Florida.
All right, thank you. Go ahead with your testimony.
The department had originally issued a memorandum on the 5th of June for this proposal, and it's like an objection because of the unknown traffic impacts to thereby. Subsequent to that date, the district office had come into receipt of a traffic study dated of August 2024 that appeared to, the accesses therein appear to be consistent with the proposal. Therefore, we prepared a memorandum submitted today, which modified the department's stance to no objection, but subject to conditions. The first condition being that with regard to the breakout, the little bulb area for which commercial uses is proposed, I believe it is marked as C1. The traffic study request said that there would be signalization, that they were requesting signalization. We basically stated that the traffic study language was insufficient for department approval of signalization and set out the requirements that basically per department standards. That is a signal warrant analysis and an intersection control evaluation which would be evaluated by department staff. Basically, and also, depending on those results, signalization would either be approved or disapproved by the department per our regular processes, or other alternative measures would be discussed as part of the district's connection permit process. The second item in the memorandum refers to the intersection of Turkey Creek Road and State Road 60. We had observed that the study had incomplete information regarding the pre-project, the conditions without the project, and had near critical volume to capacity ratios after the project, with project traffic. We had recommended that the insufficiency of information be resolved, and also advised that we have advised the department's interest that our primary interest is the maintenance of State Road 60's traffic flow in this matter.
All right, thank you. So the Department of Transportation then is requesting 2 conditions. Are those conditions reflected then in the staff report?
They are not in the staff report because those weren't in our original conditions. However, my understanding is they've been entered into the record.
That is correct. DOT has provided those into the record here tonight, and I believe the applicant may testify to that during their rebuttal.
Okay, all right. So we have that testimony, we have those conditions. I have received tonight that memorandum from Florida Department of Transportation. Also, I have received revised conditions number 1 and 19. I've received Development Services Transportation Review Staff, a revised agency comment sheet, and also the revised Development Services Staff report. So I have those. They're in the record. And is that all from Development Services for now?
I would add that I noticed, as the gentleman was speaking, condition 15 left out a sentence. This is a natural resources condition of approval. So staff would need to add the following information to condition 15, which is every effort must be made to avoid the removal of and design the site around these trees. The site plan may be modified from the certified site plan to avoid tree removal.
Okay, so that language will be added to that condition.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Anything else from transportation?
Questions?
All right, no questions for you. Thank you. Now we'll go to the public. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? All right. not hearing anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
Madam Chair, we have 5 online.
All right. 5 online. Do we have 2 here? All right, 2 here and 5 online, so that's 7. And we have 15 minutes. All right, that gives about 2 minutes apiece, a little bit over 2 minutes apiece. Will that work for y'all? Can you get your comments in 2 minutes apiece? All right, thank you. We'll start with the persons here in the room. If you'll come forward, please. And state your name and your address, and then your comments.
Renee Madison, 1502 Windy Gap Place, Valrico, Florida. My comments are regarding EIP 240675. I urge you to strongly consider the impacts of rezoning the EIP without prior due diligence of proper testing to identify and determine the full extent of radioactive pollution and the impact to human health, current residents, as well as those who will be employed in future businesses and homes. Hit pause on the rezoning of the EIP. Several members of our Fix Hillsborough Coalition have experienced cancer. Their homes and small generational farms in many cases back up to the border of the EIP or are a short walk up the streets to the EIP property. One member has had cancer 3 different times. She borders the EIP on the southwest side. Another family that backs up to the EIP off Turkey Creek in the northeast whose farm has been in the family for 65 years, 5 of her family members have passed from lung cancer. Another member's small family farm backs up to the EIP on the southern end. His mother passed of lung cancer. Other members of our coalition have had cancer as well as incurring very high radon readings in their homes that require radon mitigation. Dover has one of the highest incidences of cancer according to the Hillsborough County Cancer Cluster Map. Now, what I have right here in this box is to demonstrate to you all the radioactivity that from rock tailings that I have gathered from the American Cyanamide Phosphate Company land, which is the EIP and the University Energy Park. I have asked to have passed around the Nuclear Radiation Safety Guide so that I may give you a reading on these. Radioactive rock tailings cannot be graded.
All right.
I will tell you, we're up to 348, which is high on this scale.
So, ma'am, just to be clear then, your concern is with, you believe there's pollution at the site?
Radioactive, yes.
Okay, all right. We'll
Radioactive,
okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, I understand. And please sign in with the clerk. All right, next speaker, please. Was there a second speaker in the room? Yes. Okay.
My name's Doug Madison. I live over there, 1502 Windy Gap Place, Valrico. My comments regarding EIP 240675, the 300 acres of EIP property was a former phosphate mine owned by American Cyanide Mining. This property is riddled with discarded radioactive waste, in some instances 80 to 100 feet high in the road's exposed rock tailings. The exposed rock tailings are made up of highly unstable radioactive nuclide, uranium, thorium, thallium, and radium. They're constantly emitting radioactive isotopes, which are carcinogenic and pose a significant human health risk. That's what you heard. The radioactive isopods have half-life of about 1,600 years. The radium emits all 3 ionizing ionizing radiation, alpha, beta, gamma radiation. As radium decays, it turns into radon. It's colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Radon is nefarious for accumulating in buildings and homes, causing multiple cancers, most notably for lung cancer. Additionally, in January of 2024, it was identified to cause strokes. Radon becomes polonium and lead that get stuck in lungs. Radon is formed as uranium decays in soils and rock. Then it seeps into buildings and homes where it becomes a human health hazard. When the ground is disrupted in radioactive contaminations, areas such as the EIP, dust is created and radioactive isotopes attach to the dust particulates and become airborne and blown about by the wind. They travel in water, creating a state of environmental radiation pollution. Exposing to ionizing radiation emissions can damage living cells, DNA damage, leads to genetic mutation that can be passed on to future generations.
Thank you, sir. I understand. Please make sure you sign in. Thank you. All right, now we'll go to those who are online.
The first ones to sign up are George and Yvette Neiman, speaking separately.
Okay, go ahead, George or Yvette.
Hey, good evening, hearing master and attendees. Yvette Neiman from Dover, Florida. I oppose this rezoning for a number of reasons. Adding energy, commercial and industrial uses to these additional sections of the EIP should not be allowed. The surrounding infrastructure cannot handle what has already been planned. Allowing the expansion into these added pockets will disturb this contaminated land even worse. This land should be tested for contamination and radiation before any rezoning is even considered, not after. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. George Neiman, please.
Good evening, George Neiman, 4711 Dover Cliff Court, Dover, Florida. The original energy industrial plan stipulated that State Road 60 would be the only access point for all uses of the EIP. That plan should never have been changed. It still shouldn't be changed. Turkey Creek Road cannot handle the intense traffic. And by the way, they mentioned a traffic report, which was probably submitted by the applicant, but the data that the county has for the surrounding roads, such as Turkey Creek and Dover Road, are old, from 2020. So the capacities, the high capacity of usage is totally underestimated. And a reasonable and safer way to approach managing this property's land use would be for the county to deny this rezoning request and not entertain any other rezoning requests until the entire energy industrial park has been fully tested for contaminants and radiation. And by the way, the applicants, as well as some of the commissioners who are pro-development, they keep talking about the sludge pond. We all know about the sludge pond, but that's only 10%. That's being monitored, but only 10% of that land has been tested. The other 90% has never been tested. And moving this earth in all these extra pockets is going to make it a lot worse. And I am opposing it. I urge the county to reject this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who is the next person who has signed up to speak, please?
Penny Martin.
All right, Ms. Martin. All right, is Penny Martin
looks
online?
Like your mic's muted. Hang on one second. There you go.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Penny Martin, 2030 Martin Road. Please deny this request. I feel it is not consistent with our comp plan and there are health risks and concerns at stake. Our small country town cannot handle the massive traffic we have already, let alone at least 10,000 more cars that are going to be coming off of this new development. Adding even more acreage for commercial warehouses or even one energy source will be devastating to this area. We just had a sinkhole open up where the proposed entrances are. BOCC does tell us that testing is later in the process, but how can we allow folks to prep, plan, and propose all these requests when we haven't even tested the 3,000 acres yet? What investor is going to buy or build on untested toxic land? The BOCC has heard from hundreds of residents on this serious health matter, and thousands of petitions have been turned in. The land under review is part of this old untested phosphate mine, 3,000 acres to be exact. It does have a toxic Superfund site on it, and the EPA does test it and have found that chemicals of concern in the 1,4-dioxane that are above limits. The land, if you weren't aware, was used for phosphate ore mining from 1930 to 58. Bedard Park was part of that. In 58 to 1982, our local businesses dumped 16 million cubic gallons of grease, automotive oil, and septic waste in those unlined sludge ponds. After years of us raising concerns about our health risks, we finally got the attention of the EPA in 1981. They shut the operation down and tested the dumping pits. What they found was alarming. The toxic site was then added to the national priority list in 1986. And why is this important to know? It's the health of our county and state this impacts. Our community has been concerned, or is concerned, there are no plans to test this land before any plans to build and rezone. For over 20 years, the county has repeatedly denied the building requests. Now, all of a sudden, it's getting pushed through the process like a freight train. We don't want to be the next families of the Love Canal and Aaron Brockovich Town or their Lakeland neighbors who are infamously known as the Drummond case as a result of their homes being built on a former phosphate mine. All of these cases involve hidden chemicals in the ground. We cannot let this happen here. We also have high cases of deafness, cancer, and thyroid.
Your time is up, but I do understand your concerns with the site. Thank you very much. Who is the next person, please?
I have a Brady Harris Brady.
Okay.
Yes, Brady. 2110 Henson Road, Dover, Florida. I have a concern also about the chemicals. And one thing that wasn't brought up that I think of, right offhand, is that there is a Turkey Creek, an actual waterway going through the middle of the property. I live adjacent to the creek, and I've had tellings as high as 400 and 500, almost 600 in my ditch that leads into the pasture directly from the EIP property. My mother had cancer, lung cancer, and half her ear was eaten off by cancer. She also had strokes, and she had a heart attack. And she lived on the property since '67. There's a difference between Turkey Creek Road and Turkey Creek, the actual creek, and that's where we're concerned, where the chemicals are flowing into the creek, and that flows into the Alafia River. And the infrastructure on Turkey Creek Road with the high school kids, it can't handle the added industrial. And I've never once heard, since the energy portion has been brought up, what energy exactly is going to be put on the properties. And that's my main concern. So thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. All right, last speaker, I believe Debbie Holliday.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Debbie Holliday. I live at 2130 Martin Road, Dover, Florida. This property, as you have heard, is an old phosphate mine plus a county landfill that contains the chemical they've talked about called dioxane. This chemical moves across and down through the soil when it is disturbed. I noticed in the text write-up for these major modifications that there is no mention of this land being a landfill. It just states an old phosphate mine. This land also contains a Superfund site, which you have heard about. The radon gas is from the old phosphate mine, and in a discussion with Mosaic representative, I asked her specifically if radioactive tailings can be moved. Her answer was no, not ever. But what I'm hearing now is they plan on taking down the berms that contain these tailings. We also have concerns about sinkholes and slurry ponds on the land as well, all over the 3,000 acres. Before any development is approved, it should be made mandatory that chemical testing needs to be done to assure the safety of not only residents, but workers on this land. The request for reduction of space and the number of energy uses should not be granted. Approval of this proves to everyone else that you can request a change, get the land designation you want, wait for a while, and then go back and change it all later. Thank you for listening to me and about my concerns. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, I believe that's all of our speakers in opposition. So Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, applicant, please.
Cami Corbett again, if we could have the presentation back up real quick. There's a lot of discussion about pollution and all of those issues. Just want to show this slide to show you the location. Actually, that's where I want to, this is the one I want to show. You could get that up on the screen. Okay. This is an exhibit that shows the location of the Superfund site of the known contaminated property. There was very similar testimony at the comprehensive plan amendments, both ours and University Energy Park, and the commissioners took action on that and even put some really specific conditions in the comprehensive plan regarding the need for testing. That primarily applies to the University Energy Park side where the actual confirmed, proven contamination is existing. We don't have any evidence from in our property ownership that we have a contaminated site. These folks continue to say that it's contaminated, but other than their anecdotal information, we do not have any evidence that the Turkey Creek Preserve property is contaminated, and we object to that even really being entered into the record.
Ms. Corbett,
Yeah.
where that purple arrow is pointed, there's that dotted outline. What is that? I can't really read it from the screen. It's too small. And if you don't know, it's probably in the site plan on the record. I can blow it up and see.
I do think that it is. I mean, the purple things are the plumes, documented plumes.
Oh, okay, I see.
And then the yellow is the site boundary. And then I think the dotted line is the barrier around it, the area around it.
Okay.
That has to be protected.
Okay, so then by that, and this is just primarily for the benefit of the public, there has been something apparently on site because we have, this shows the plumes, and that would be in the groundwater, is that correct?
On the University Energy Park.
Right, on that side.
On the Superfund site, it is noted, it's monitored by EPA.
Okay.
There are conditions in the comprehensive plan with respect to what needs to happen for that side. There's not conditions in this particular rezoning. There is a rezoning for the University Energy Park site that is coming behind this, probably by a couple of different months, and the county may incorporate some of those conditions into those conditions related to the development of that side. But again, this is already zoned.
Yes,
So both
I
sides
understand.
already have zoning with no condition to do anything about contamination or otherwise. So what's coming is going to improve the situation, but it wouldn't be appropriate at this stage for the Turkey Creek side to impose any kind of conditions because there's no evidence that there's any contamination occurring on that site.
Thank you. And then one more question. So it's my understanding, if I'm following this correctly, then the entitlements that are changing are really on the other side, right? On C1, H1, and G,
Correct.
it looks
The
like.
areas in red.
Okay. And that area is not a Superfund site. It's not part of that priority listed site. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then one thing Mr. Neiman said is that state road access, the only access one could have in the EIP was from State Road 60. That is not the case. The access onto State Road 60 was a locational requirement that you had to be on State Road 60 to qualify for EIP. The original rezoning shows the same access points onto Turkey Creek Road. So those have already been approved as well. So that's not correct. As far as it not being consistent with the comprehensive plan, this implements the comprehensive plans that were recently approved by the board, so they are indeed consistent with the most recent approvals. With respect to the clarification with the natural resources condition, we appreciate that clarification because we too want to preserve the natural vegetation where we can, and so we actually like that modification. And with respect to FDOT, his conditions are more narrative in nature than conditions. Typically how we handle FDOT approvals, particularly when we're accessing onto an FDOT road, we are fully subject to FDOT's approval and permitting for any signal that's warranted, any traffic study that they want to see as part of an access management permit. They will see the site, they will have reviewing and approving authority, so I don't know that it's necessary to include the conditions that are on his report because they'll get captured at the time of site development when we go into review. And you'll see in conditions 11 and 12 of the transportation condition, you can see that's contemplated that yes, FDOT approval, review and approval is going to be necessary to achieve the access points that are shown on the site plan.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
And unless you have any other question, that concludes our presentation.
I have no other questions for you. Thank you very much. All right, this then will close the hearing on major modification 24-0675.
Our next application is item D3, PD 24-1353. The applicant is requesting a PD rezoning, and Chris Greenlenard with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
All right, so I believe we're settled enough to hear this case. The applicant here for rezoning PD 24-1353.
Good evening, hearing officer. My name is Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. I'm here with a number of people, but do want to introduce Reverend is here in representation of the church. I'll have a few comments as well. I have to say that I'm very honored and very happy to be here this evening because we've worked through a lot of issues, and we're here before you in a very positive parameters and positive progress that we've made. We are located in the Carrollwood area, and this should look familiar to you because you've looked at the site already. This is as the property appraiser has it. So there are two separate parcels that are under the application. The change of use site is indicated here, and just FYI, the existing church building property is located on the south, but is not an official part of this application before you. So the change of use is shown in the area per the property appraiser. St. Mark's Episcopal Church has been in the community for a long time. I've come to know them as just great folks. Again, I'm honored to be representing them and working with them through a number of issues, and noted that they built a church in Carrollwood in 1988, 1989. It's established with 350 members, and they're very ingrained with the community. Now, history-wise, as of today, the site is approved and could be constructed with a 77-bed L-shaped ALF, which was approved in 2017. Run forward a bit, in August 2023, we came through the county with a major modification, which was approved by the Board of County Commissioners for outdoor storage. I'll get into a little bit more details on that, but that's the headline. That issue was then appealed to the courts. I don't handle legal, I don't do anything with legal. Other persons handle that, but once those issues were resolved, they came back to myself to run through the county. So now we're back at the ZHM and to the BOCC under PD 24-1353, which virtually the same use. And when the original major mod came through the Board of County Commissioners, that was approved unanimously, which we were very happy to see by the Board of County Commissioners. And we worked very hard through the community. We held a number of community meetings and reached out to neighbors. As this comes forward to you tonight, Development Services supports. There's no agency objections other than the Planning Commission. And we are here under what I am told and been directed to be as a mediated settlement agreement. There was a letter on the record from Jane Graham, who was the attorney who represented the folks who brought the suit. She notes in the record her letter that she is writing on behalf of her clients, and she will not be able to attend this evening to express her clients' support in person, but Mr. Torres and Ms. Roderick will be here. I don't personally know them. I assume that they're here in attendance, but I wanted to bring this to your attention.
Okay, and just a quick question about that, make sure I understand. Ms. Graham was apparently the attorney representing some parties during the court proceedings and during the settlement proceedings?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, and then she's expressing support in her letter?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the difference between today's application versus the past major mod, today's use is for recreational vehicles, private pleasure crafts, utility trailers, outdoor storage. The prior application was exterior open storage of RVs, campers, travel trailers, motorhomes, watercraft, automobiles. So that's change number one. The second is the code has changed in the way that this issue is being reviewed. Under today's code, under a PD, the uses that are proposed are considered a neighborhood serving use. So under the RS4 land use category, it's considered to be compatible. Previously, it required a comp plan amendment to LI. So that was a significant change in code and how this particular issue is looked at. Not permitted or restricted would be a long number of uses. I won't read them, but they're more intensive uses considered to be perhaps not compatible. So looking at the site, this is the survey with trees. The location that was chosen is the least impacting to trees. You'll see Kane Road is running north-south, and the church building that is not a part of this application is to the south. So this is a simplified diagram of where the vehicle storage would be, and you can see that the surrounding trees are kept in a natural state on the north, east, and west. A closer look at the site plan shows the vehicle storage circulation, which is virtually the same as it was, well, virtually the same that it is before, as was laid out in the site plan. This is the PD site plan proposed now. Critical factor is the proposed buffering and screening. You'll see that we have a 90-foot buffer to the north, a 50-foot buffer to the west, and the distance from Kane Road is about 360 feet approximately. So there is tremendous buffering and screening for the use. And placed on an aerial, you begin to see the depth, density, and height of the natural forestation that I'll show you more in regard. Buffering and screening is specific in the conditions of the report. Each buffer has been looked at extremely closely as what's required and what will be placed at the site, and that's for the north, the east, and the west. And just to highlight that, includes 8-foot-high opaque fences, type B, type C screening, but again, that's very detailed in the staff report that is moving forward on a positive basis. But critically, when you look at what would be left in a natural condition, as you can see immediately, the screening is many, 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 many times higher, denser, thicker than the county screening requirements are. This is to the north. This is further to the north. This is to the west, and again to the west. And then from Kane Road, which is at 360 feet, you can see that there's significant screening by the natural trees as well. In regard to the Planning Commission, with great respect to the Planning Commission, in our opinion, first of all, the Planning Commission just fundamentally does not agree that the extreme mitigations we're proposing, which is natural forestation, the extreme setbacks, the small scale impact of the use, which is quiet, extremely low trips, no activity, the 8-foot fencing, the natural buffering screening, we feel that meets the policies. The Planning Commission did not. Just a difference of opinion with respect to the Planning Commission. Also, that is what the locational criteria waiver that we submitted is based upon, which is the criteria for the locational waiver, which is these type of elements. The second element, in our opinion, that we disagree with the Planning Commission, again, with respect to them, is that when I reviewed the Planning Commission report, they did not look at the true impact of what's allowed today, which is the ALF at 77 beds, which would have tremendously less setbacks, tremendously less screening and buffering. It would require the removal of a tremendous amount of trees. I can go back to the aerial and show that to you, but I'm sure you'll take a look at it. So that comparison and the impacts of trips and noise of a 77-bed ALF with trucks and staff would be tremendously more impacting, we feel, than what's proposed today. But again, I'll say a third time in respect to the Planning Commission, we did not see that comparable, which we think is critical and central to this application. So it is a choice between old versus new, which is quiet, low impact, low trips, reduced type of vehicles stored versus the ALF. Just by virtue of the county transportation report, it shows comparable between those two, shows a reduction of 139 trips on the 24-hour and a reduction of the AM and PM trips between the ALF and the proposed storage. And when they make that comparison, which you're probably aware, the ITE does not include data for open storage. They have to use a mini storage, which would have a higher trip rate. When looking at land use categories, and this is important under Objective 17, which we referred to, that certain non-residential land uses, including not limited to residential support uses and public facilities, shall be allowed within residential neighborhoods to directly serve the population. And 17.1 residential support uses, again, follows that same rationale, which was part of the direction, or was the direction of the way the code reads now for this type of use. Policy 18.1, the character of each land use category is defined by the ability type, the residential density, functional use, and physical composition, which we believe that we've done very well in terms of how the integration of adjacent land uses is looked at in the comp plan, which is creation of complementary uses, which we believe this is because it is tremendously quiet, low trips, low activity, mitigation of adverse impacts. We provided, I'll use the word again, tremendously many times more what buffering screening would be allowed or required by the code, and transportation, pedestrian connections, transportation particularly in terms of the reduction that I've shown you. Policy 16.2 specifically looks at the transition of intensities and the use of professional site planning, buffering, and screening techniques and control of specific land uses, which clearly we have done all three in an extreme fashion. And Comp Policy 16.1, limiting commercial development to a neighborhood scale, which we clearly have done, requiring buffering areas and screening devices between unlike land uses, which again, we clearly have done. And Compound Policy 12, 1.4, which refers to compatibility of the same type of elements. Under the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan, that plan looks at use compatibility design techniques to ensure appearance, architectural mass, and scale development, which again, because of the many elements that we proposed and restricted to, we feel that we meet this standard in the plan. So with that, we've come a long way here. We come forward on a very positive basis as compared to what was before. We appreciate having the Board of County Commissioners unanimous approval on virtually the same application as it appeared previously. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. I don't have any questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be sure and sign in, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have a revised staff report.
Okay.
to provide. Chris Grelinard, Development Services. It's regarding PD 24-1353. The current PD 1711, PD 17-1112 was originally approved as a 77-bed Type C community residential home. In 2024, under Major Modification 23951, the BOCC approved a change allowing exterior storage of RV boats and vehicles, removing the CRH use. A related future land use change to light industrial planned under CPA 2316 was a challenge during the appeal period. Mediated settlement resulted in withdrawal of the comp plan amendment and a new PD request with stricter storage limitations. Since then, the Board of County Commissioners amended the Land Development Code to clarify that when RVs, boats, and trailers are stored under a PD rezoning, it is considered a neighborhood rezoning, neighborhood serving use, not open storage, if compatibility measures are included. This allows the use under the current Res 4 future land use, avoiding the need for more intense designation. The site west of Kane Road in the urban service area within the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Plan is surrounded by residential and institutional uses, including a church to the south, which is the applicant in this case. It is designated Res 4 on the future land use map. The Planning Commission finds the proposal inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The applicant seeks PD rezoning to allow RVs, boats, and trailers with no maintenance or residential use permitted. Storage of semi-trucks, containers, or construction materials under vehicles would be prohibited. Compatibility measures include enhanced buffering, screening, limited hours, and tree preservation, with no new structures proposed. That being said, staff recommends approval subject to the conditions and the PD staff report. Glad to answer any questions you might have.
Just a quick one, and I probably should have had the applicant address this, and if he did, I failed to hear it. But the staff report indicates there's a PD variation from landscape and buffering. What was that exactly? Was that just to apply the natural, the natural existing vegetation, or are you? If you can't answer it, I'll just have the applicant answer it on rebuttal.
Yeah, they're requesting some revisions in the buffering and screening, specifically probably to use the existing screening as use the existing screening instead of adding additional.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. That's all I have questions for you. Planning Commission.
Willamette Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located north of Gun Highway, west of Kane Road, and east of the Veterans Expressway. The site is located within the urban service area and is located within the limits of the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan. The applicant is requesting to rezone from an existing plan development to a new plan development for the exterior open storage of RVs, boats, and travel trailers. Not permitted would be semi-truck storage containers, shipping containers, construction materials, or construction vehicles stored on property. The proposed open storage area is designed to be located on the west side of the subject property, directly adjacent to the single-family residential on that boundary. With the general vicinity of the site being mainly comprised of residential uses, the light industrial nature of the open storage use does not meet the intent of Flu Policy 1.4 relating to compatibility. The proposed development is more intense in nature and will not fit into the residential character of the area. On May 8th, 2025, Land Development Code Amendment 250399 was approved by the Board of County Commissioners. This amendment differentiates the storage of operable RVs, private pleasure crafts, and utility trailers from other items considered open storage when permitted in a PD zoning district, and would no longer require intensive zoning districts or non-residential future land use designations of the comprehensive plan to store these specific items. Although the use may be considered in the residential for future land use category, compatibility concerns remain due to the proposed use's proximity to single-family residential homes, located directly to the west and north. Mitigation measures, including a 50-foot buffer with an 8-foot opaque fence along the west side and a 90-foot buffer along the north side, were acknowledged and considered in the review. While Planning Commission staff acknowledges these mitigation measures, the adjacency of open storage to established residential neighborhoods was ultimately deemed incompatible and therefore not supportable. The proposed rezoning does not meet the intent of FLU Objective 16. The setbacks and buffers alone do not allow for a gradual transition in intensity between land uses. There are significantly less intense uses, specifically the single-family neighborhoods that surround the site, that need to be protected per policy direction in the FLU. Furthermore, the development of higher intensity non-residential land uses that are adjacent to established neighborhoods shall be restricted to collectors and arterials and to locations external to established and developing neighborhoods, per FLU Policy 16.5. Due to the proposed use being more intensive and adjacent to established residential neighborhoods, the request is inconsistent with this policy direction. The subject site does not meet commercial locational criteria, as the closest qualifying intersection is approximately 2,500 feet away from the intersection at Veterans Expressway and Gun Highway. While the waiver request was taken into consideration, the proposed use remains incompatible with the surrounding area. Based upon the above considerations and the following goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification plan development inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Please come forward.
I have Christopher Bryant online.
All right, and is that speaking in support?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have
three of us here.
okay, we have 3 persons in the hearing room.
We have 2 more.
Okay, just one moment. Everybody come up or raise your hand or something so I can count, please. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Thank you. And how many are online?
Just 1.
Okay, so there's 6. So you're going to have about a little more than 2 minutes to speak each, about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, something like that.
Okay.
Okay?
You ready?
I think that was 6. Yeah, 2.5 minutes, we'll say. 2.5 minutes each.
Well, I'm
Thank
a preacher, so I need a lot more than that. So.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a sermon tonight.
No.
I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Father Robert Douglas, 19431 Everton Place, Land O'Lakes, and I'm the spiritual leader, the rector of St. Mark's Episcopal Church, and I do bring you greetings from our community of faith. I just want to pause for a second and offer our condolences on the passing of Councilmember Gwendolyn Henderson. And we do pray that she may rest in peace and rise in glory. I want to thank you for your time and attention given to our proposed plan development this evening. And I rise in support in the plan that's presented to you and ask for your approval also. Our congregation is grateful for the Board of County Commissioners who unanimously approved this plan as presented in April 2024. We also give thanks for all who work to alleviate the future concerns through the media agreement reached and also unanimously approved by the BOCC this year. We believe that the agreement that we've come up to with all parties can live with. Our goal at St. Mark's remains consistent with what we've been talking about, to be good neighbors to our surrounding community, as well as maintaining the beautiful grounds of our facility. The current planned development of the 77-bed assisted living facility will require removal of every single tree from the 4 acres of land, including all of those grand oaks that you saw in the pictures today. It would be an active 24/7 facility with non-stop traffic for residents, staff, and support vehicles required for the use of a facility of that size. Our plan, the one that is presented this evening, retains 3 acres of beautiful grounds while also eliminating the noise associated with the ALF. The 1 acre to be used for recreational vehicle storage will be in the westmost corner of the 4 acres,
greatly reducing visibility not only from Kane Road, but also from our own church building. Getting approval, by the way, from church members on changes to property can always be a great challenge in itself, but our community of faith remains fully supportive behind this effort. Ultimately, our goal is to use our land for the betterment of our community and the communities that surround us. We have been, and we will continue to be, good neighbors to all people, especially to those in Hillsborough County. We thank you very much for your support.
All right, thank you, and be sure and sign in with the clerk. All right, next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Drew Doyle. I live at 7004 Edenbrook Court, Tampa, Florida, 33634. And I'm a relatively new member at St. Mark's. The one thing that I noticed when I got there is that this property is gorgeous. It's just absolutely beautiful. And the people that go inside the church is also stunning people. We want to continue to be a community of faith open to all who call Citric Park home, including the surrounding communities. And to do that, we think that having roughly 40 parking spaces available for long-term storage of oversized vehicles, non-construction related RVs, we think that that'll be a bigger benefit than what our original plan was, and it would benefit the people that are directly affected in our community. So we thank you for your consideration and ask for your help in support of this application.
All right, thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Johnston King. I live at 5226 Creek, Moore Lane, Tampa. I'd first like to reiterate my condolences on the passing of Tampa City Council member Gwendolyn Henderson, who was a vibrant and fastidious member of the community. May she rest in peace and rise in glory, and may her memory and good works live on. I have been a member of St. Mark's Episcopal Church since 1988. We had previously been on Lowell and Casey Road, and having sold that property, which is now the Carrollwood Cultural Center, we moved here to Kane Road after purchasing the property in 2005 with our desire to create a welcoming community. Throughout the years, we've had discussions about how we could bring this to fruition, with the preservation of the grounds and the neighborhood being foremost in our minds. This plan that we present for your approval allows us to keep 3 acres of land filled with greenery and have a storage lot that is located some distance from the road, with it not being a hindrance to our neighbors. We have a thriving garden community whose desire it is to keep the grounds of St. Mark's beautiful, not only for our congregation, but for the neighborhood in general and all who pass by. I hope that you will appreciate our commitment to this endeavor, and we're grateful for the time permitted us this evening to present this to you, and hope you will strongly consider granting your support. We further encourage you and invite you to participate in any of our services and activities at St. Mark's. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, next speaker, please.
Good evening.
Wait just a minute. We have one more person in the room, and then we're going to go online. 2 more people in the room. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tammy Torres. I live at 5614 Pine Bay Drive in the Woodmont community. I'm here to express my support for PD 24-1353 in compliance with the terms of the mediated settlement agreement dated August 6, 2024, and approved by the Board of County Commissioners. I also brought a copy I'd like to submit for the record. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next speaker here in the room, and then we'll go to the person who's online.
Good evening. My name is Nolan Roderick, 5814 Piney Lane Drive in the Woodmont subsection. I am still for the planning development not liking this plan, but I paid an attorney, Jane Graham, to defend it, and I will agree to express full support for PD 24-1353 as long as the mediated settlement agreement dated August 6, 2024 is followed.
Thanks very much.
All right, thank you, sir. And I think we have one more person in the room. So please come forward, and then we'll go online. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name's Anthony J. Torres. I currently reside at 5614 Pine Bay Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33625. Good evening, Zoning Hearing Master. I'm here today to express full support for PD 24-1353 in compliance with the terms of the mediated settlement agreement dated August the 6th, 2024, and approved by the County Commission on September the 10th, 2024. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, now we'll go to the speaker who is online, please.
Thank you, Zoning Hearing Master. My name is Christopher Bryant, 12507 Brucey Place, Tampa, Florida, 33625. I'm a member of St. Mark's, and I'm speaking in favor of the application. I had the opportunity to meet with 150.
Mr. Bryant,
yeah.
I believe your speakers are turned up. You might need to turn them down because we're getting some feedback.
Okay, is that better or not?
That sounds better.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Did you get my address and everything?
Did the clerk hear the address of the speaker?
Yes, we got it. Thank you.
Okay, we got it. Thank you very much. Please
Thank you.
proceed.
Over the past year and a half, I've had the opportunity to meet with 150 different folks in the community, from town hall style meetings to HOA meetings, going door to door, and even with some of the wonderful neighbors in the mediated settlement agreement. And the great thing is we were able to come together and bring you a proposal tonight that is much more modest than the 77-bed assisted living facility. Tonight's proposal allows preservation of many or most of the grandfather oaks, most of the land on that northern 4 acres. You have 5 nonprofits that use the church on a weekly basis, including a number of scout troops. And having an opportunity and a place for them to safely store their watercraft is actually a really key and important part of St. Mark's mission. We want to preserve as much of this land as possible and do so in a way that allows St. Mark to be a good neighbor and a welcoming place for all of those who call Citrus Park home. Thank you for your time, and I hope you'll support the application. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Is that all the speakers who wish to speak in support of this item? Okay, then we'll move to opposition. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition? All right, I see 2 persons in the room. Is there anyone online to speak in opposition?
Yes, we have 3 people online.
All right, so we have 3 online, we have 2 in the room, that's 5. Is that all? Okay, do we have 3 in the room? All right, I think we have 6 speakers, so 2.5 minutes apiece. 2.5 minutes apiece. Please come forward, first speaker in the hearing room.
Good evening. My name is Chris Frick. I live at 5423 Pine Bay Drive in the Woodmont neighborhood. The Woodmont neighborhood is currently located at the end of Kane Road in the back of the St. Mark's development proposal site. I'm standing here tonight to speak in my opposition to the proposed plan development. I have several points I'd like to make about it, but I just go through them real quick because of the time limitations. The visual impact. First of all, large RVs, towed vehicles, boats on trailers are going to stick higher and stand higher up than the significantly proposed 8-foot fence. They'll be visible from the road. They will be an eyesore to the community as people come and go into the neighborhood. They will diminish the residential character of the neighborhood. Crime and safety. Storage lots of any kind are a magnet for crime. It is a proven statistic. They were going to bring vagrants in. They're going to bring people in who are going to be looking to break into the facility, break into the RVs, rob the boats, squat, et cetera. We do not want that in the neighborhood. We do not want that element attracted to the neighborhood by this site. A couple of big points. Traffic and road safety. The site is currently on Kane Road. Access to Kane Road is one way. It's off of Gun Highway, which is a 4-lane, 2 in each direction. Posted speed limit is 45 miles an hour. That is frequently exceeded. When traveling westbound on Gun Highway, there is no right turn lane onto Kane Road. The concern is people pulling trailers, boats, RVs, et cetera, are going to be taking that turn very, very fast to a very narrow Kane Road, and then proceeding up Kane Road and making a sharp left turn into the parking lot. Kane Road currently has no safety shoulders. It has no passing lanes or anything like that. This is a major concern because you're going to have vehicles traveling at an excessive rate of speed that are top-heavy with a lot of weight behind them and a lot of momentum. They're potentially overturning, something that frequently happens when vehicles are towed, especially by drivers who are not professional, who might be inexperienced in towing and driving large vehicles. Huge safety concern because this would, in fact, deny access to any first responders, police, fire, paramedics, to the whole neighborhood and back. Approximately 200-plus homes. Several, probably in the thousands of residents would lose their access to emergency services if one vehicle potentially turns over and blocks Kane Road. Lastly, drainage and stormwater runoff. Converting this land into a vehicle storage site would require the importing of tons of dirt and gravel in order to safely grade and compact the land. This increased compaction and everything like that would basically force water to run off rather than be absorbed. You're going to have a tremendous amount of runoff that's going to affect the neighborhood, the residences that butt up to it, and potentially damaging property and everything else. The ground can't handle it. After Hurricane Milton, the area was flooded for over a month.
Okay.
So this is going to be continued a problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Please sign in with the clerk. And next speaker, come forward.
Good evening. My name is Francine Sinclair. I live at 5602 Pine Bay Drive, the Woodmont neighborhood, and I'm here in full opposition of this plan. I support what the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Master said last year. Although this has been updated, I still disagree with a storage unit off of Kane Road on that property. The Planning Commission unanimously agreed that this outdoor storage project is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. It is incompatible with the residential neighborhood and our street. There are over 200 homes, single-family homes in this community. There is one road to go in and out of our neighborhood. Having a storage unit with increased traffic would just be very detrimental, as the gentleman here stated. If there were to happen something to happen, we would not be able to access our homes. I've been there only for about 7 years, but it has been a wonderful experience living in this neighborhood. It's quiet. And it's understated. And bringing a storage unit, one of the people in the commission last year said that this would definitely attract crime. I've noticed an increase in homelessness in our neighborhood in the past 2 years, and I think that this could definitely attract homeless people to our area. I also think that we would have traffic problems if this were to happen. I understand that many of the people that go to St. Mark's Church agree with this. However, most of these people do not live in our neighborhood. So this is great if you don't live there, if you only go to church there. But if you live there, it's a problem. So I request to not approve this project because it definitely would have a long-term impact on the people who live there, such as myself. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Be sure and sign in with the clerk here, please. And next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Renee Renton. I live at 13542 Bellingham Drive. I am actually probably one of the few neighbors who is directly facing the property of the church. I've dealt with Father Bob many times, and it's always been...
Ma'am, make sure that your
pleasant.
comments are in the microphone.
I've dealt with Father Bob several times. It's always been a very pleasant and amicable experience. I will tell you I was disappointed at the last hearing because basically when one of the council members said to be careful what you wish for. So that was a little disappointing. So you're basically telling us that we have to choose between the lesser of two evils, whether it's an assisted living facility or whether it's a storage facility. I may not want both. I've lived in this neighborhood for 25 years now. When I bought the property, I had trees all around me. Since I've moved, there are now office parks, two directly in front of my home. Then the church came in, and as I said, they've been very good neighbors. Any issues we've dealt with, I've dealt directly with Father Bob, but it is just a little disappointing that there's really no choices. You choose, as I say, the lesser of two evils. So thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Come back and please sign in with the clerk before you sit down. Thank you. All right. I think that's all the speakers in the room. Now we'll go to those who are online.
The first speaker is Linda Cooper.
Okay. All right.
Hi there, my name is Linda Cooper. I'm a Woodmont resident of 28 years. I live at 5603 Pine Bay Drive, Tampa, Florida. I'm struggling to understand how this same issue has come back for consideration. I come from a world where no means no. Last year we had the same issue, and the Planning Commission, as we've all heard, was a unanimous no, and the zoning hearing master agreed with that decision and also said no. However, again, when it came to the BOCC, they never really said why they actually supported it. My two takeaways in that very brief comments they gave us were, one, apparently the residents of Woodmont don't really care about this issue, as there are only two of you present here tonight, which I thought was offensive. And second, I don't feel this is incompatible. It's a church. I think it's a good thing. Well, I really respectfully submit that thoughts and feelings should not trump facts and professional research that was done by their team and voted against unanimously by their peers. But I am very grateful for all the hard work the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Master did last year, and again, the research that was done this year, for the thoughtful and thorough review of all the submitted reports that were submitted by this team and the departments. I've read the new application documents as well, and what has struck out to me over and over as I read that were the quotes, inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. Compatibility concerns remain. Deemed incompatible. The proposed use remains incompatible with the surrounding area. And as the young gal read before, the proposed open storage use is commercial in nature, and it would be extremely challenging to integrate it into the suburban character of the neighborhood. Yes, for sure. Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Again, so just to summarize, we did go through this process last year, and nothing has changed with all of the neighbors' concerns about this storage facility would bring. The use of the small, I think the wording in the report was substandard 2-lane road to get in and out of the storage facility, and that is the only road. Kane Road is a very tiny road, and it's the only way in and out of our community, as well as the other homes and community on the street. So I'm opposed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, next speaker online.
Kimberly Jones.
Okay.
I am Kimberly Jones, 5620 Pine Bay Drive. I'm a member of the Woodmont subdivision, and I've been here since 2019. I'm also retired law enforcement, and two of my major concerns are the fact that it will attract the criminal element. I certainly do not want that for Woodmont. It's a wonderful place to live. I want to keep it that way. It has been proven that open storage facilities absolutely do attract crime and homelessness at times as well. The second point is definitely the traffic concern. It's a 2-lane road, one way in and out of our subdivision. It's our only access. And the only access point for people, if they approved the open land storage, would be from Kane Road. Therefore, as the gentleman stated before, if there were any sort of accident, overturned vehicle, it would block emergency vehicles access as well. In addition, I mean, there's no red light. When you come out to Kane Road to go on to Gun Highway, there's a stop sign. There's not a traffic light or anything like that. So if you're crossing over to go east, it's quite a arduous task at times because traffic has increased in this area, as we all know, and Gun Highway can become very busy at times. So I appreciate the time, and I'm definitely opposed. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next speaker online.
Russell Horton.
Hi, I'm Russell Horton. I'm 5617 Pine Bay Drive. I'm a resident of the Woodmont neighborhood directly impacted by the St. Mark's proposed land development near Kane Road. I'm here today to express my strong opposition to this proposal and urge you to consider the following concerns on behalf of everyone in the community. I'm reading this letter in behalf of several neighbors: Janet and Rick Odioso at 5613 Pine Bay Drive, Julie Perlman at 5615, my wife and I at 5617 Pine Bay, Aaron and Jake at 5619, Kim Jones and Shannon at 5620, Miss Mercedes Ben at 5618 Pine Bay Drive, and Sweetie in a video at 5616. First and foremost, our neighborhood only has one way in and one way out. The proposal presents a serious safety risk. If an incident were to occur, as many have said before, the road could be blocked. And this would not only be an inconvenience, but it could be potentially a life-threatening hazard to everyone in the community. Safety is a major concern. Increased traffic from large vehicles associated with the storage facility could delay emergency response vehicles, obstruct evacuation routes, and create dangerous conditions for pedestrians, cyclists, school buses. Our community deserves infrastructure that protects, not jeopardizes our well-being. Kane Road is also not designed to accommodate the increased traffic and large vehicles. Road is narrow. Introducing these heavy trucks and additional congestion would only exacerbate the problem and endanger both drivers and pedestrians trying to enter our community. Additionally, studies and community reports have shown that areas near storage facilities may experience higher rates of property crimes, such as theft, vandalism, compared to purely residential neighborhoods. This is often due to lower visibility, irregular activity, and limited security at some storage facilities. Introducing a development into our quiet residential area could compromise the safety and peace of our community. It's also important to note this development plan has already been found inconsistent by both the Planning Committee and the Zoning Hearing Master in 2024. More recently, the Planning Committee reaffirmed its position again, finding the proposal inconsistent with the community's plans and standards. In 2024, there was a petition of 141 individuals that opposed the church's plans. This equates to 120 different addresses between Woodmont, Indian Lakes, Kane Road, Woodmont the Reserve, and traditions at Woodmont communities. This speaks volume to the community and our opposition to what is going on. Lastly, I want to emphasize that Florida's natural resources are precious. Once we allow development to encroach on these spaces, we cannot get them back. We have a responsibility to protect our environment and preserve the character of our neighborhood for future generations. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that you reject this proposal. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
All right, thank you, sir. Is that all of the speakers online?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll go back to Development Services. Anything further?
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Applicant, please. And Mr. Pressman, would you address for me, please, the PD variation that's requested, and also describe the access for the PD site?
Oh, okay, there we are. There you go. So access from the vehicle storage is either directly out of the storage and immediately taking left to Kern Road, which is an internal driveway, or continued south through church property also to Kane Road. The waiver is to allow...
One second,
yes.
Just about that. Those two access points are existing access points from the church property. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so there's no additional access point specifically for this PD area?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Yes, the variation, which is something I always add onto these type of applications, is that when there's excessive forestation, that is many multiples beyond what code calls for, it's of course would be ridiculous to chop them all down and go with the minimal buffer screening or screening required by code. So I always include that forestation to take the place of screening or to remain so that it provides, per the photos you saw, much higher, denser, and thicker vegetation.
All right, and that is along the, I believe, the west boundary and the north boundary, is that correct?
That's correct, but it would also be along that 360 feet distance from Kane Road. It's not, it doesn't have to be specifically called out, but the PD plan leaves that all in natural state.
Okay, I see. I see. Thank you.
In response to the residents' concerns, and I want to put this up. This is an aerial that's in the staff reports. It's nothing new. I just happened to pull this up rather than the staff report. If we could pull up the overhead, please. Thank you. So get an idea of the situational aspects from we're hearing from neighbors. This is St. Mark's Church here, right at the very bottom, the red. And Pine Bay is located way up here. So it's a long distance up Kane Road, across Gant, and then up into the subdivision Pine Bay. So the great majority of speakers are located quite a long distance from the church location, over the woods to grandmother's house, through the woods. It's an extreme distance. So in terms of having visual impacts, I would submit to you in terms of an impact on a daily or living basis is impossible. In fact, all the points raised, with great respect to the residents, simply don't apply. Number one, traffic. The decision is either a 77-bed ALF with service trucks that's in operation 24 hours a day, that I've shown you just by the county transportation report, we're proposing significantly less trips on that roadway, both on the daily trips and the AM and PM. In terms of visual impacts, and I won't beat a dead horse here because you're obviously well aware of it, a 360-foot setback with extreme natural forestation it virtually makes the site impossible to Kane Road, which the great majority of residents were referring to in terms of visible impact. In regard to environmental, if the ALF project moved ahead, which is approved today, again, it would be a decimation of a forest on the site. So to look at that closely, this is the survey, and looking at the ALF plan.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. It's showing now. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the survey showing the ALF plan. You can see that leaves virtually nothing in terms of buffer screening. So to be in strong opposition to this request before you would leave you exactly opposite what the comments from the residents were. I'm not sure if that element was grasped or not, but that is the case, that is the situation. So on traffic, on environmental, on buffering, on screening, on visibility, on distance, locational, that scenario, there's no decision between the two. What's proposed today is tremendously less on all counts. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, this will close the hearing then on rezoning PD 24-1353.
Our next application is item D4, PD rezoning 25-0270. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AS1 to plain development. Jared Folan with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening again, Madam Chair. Chris McNeil with McNeil Engineering, 15957 North Florida Avenue in Lutz, Florida, on behalf of the applicant. Pleased to present to you tonight the Nonasassa office of a longtime Hillsborough County resident and site contractor company. This is located north of Lake Nonasassa off of 301. The site is outlined here. There's actually 2 parcels with this request. And the historical uses for both tracts have been contractor's office. Actually, I got a typo there. It's actually contractor's office with open storage has been the historical and existing uses. There's also a cell tower on the property, and there's some office as well on the smaller parcel of the 2. The proposed use is the same, with the exception that it would be without open storage. And there's this is a self-imposed zoning request. There's no change again in the historical existing uses, and there is no code enforcement action on this case as well. This is the site plan in general, and I would like to zoom in and talk to you about a couple of the PD variations. There's 3 in total. This is the first one. It would be for the height of the fence along the north property line to allow an 8-foot high solid wood fence with 100% opacity. And that said fence would be installed within 90 days of the zoning approval. This separation of use would require a 20-foot type B buffer, and so the additional height in the fence is providing for that enhanced buffer screening. Additionally to this fence, there's some additional material detail requested by the northerly adjacent neighbor, and that's been agreed to by the applicant. They have agreed to put it in as pressure-treated pine, board-on-board style, 5/8 inch by 5.5 inch wide pickets, and 2.5 by 4 inch, or excuse me, 2 inch by 4 inch back rails. That's not outlined in the conditions currently, but the conditions do require the solid fence, 100% opacity, et cetera, which is, I believe, condition number 5 and further defined in 5A. I'm going to come back to that here in just one second. The other 2 PD variation requests are for the south and west property line, where a 20-foot type B buffer would also be required, but there's substantial wetland here highlighted, as you can see, both to those sides, and so the request for those 2 is to allow the existing wetland and vegetation to serve as those buffers, which is substantial. You can see the one on to the west is 107 feet, and to the south, 227 feet. With that, these neighbors that are both here tonight, one representing the other, Jason Poe of the property, and also representation here for the adjacent owner to the north. Both have been longtime neighbors for a long time, and with that consideration, there's been some proposed language for the additional material, and so I wanted to put that on the screen. So this detail is the adjacent owner's wording of a potential condition that includes those elements of the fence that they have agreed to with each other. And so if this is agreeable to you and to the county, that would be acceptable to the applicant as well.
All right, is the applicant then offering this as an additional condition, a zoning condition?
I think it could be an additional condition just out of convenience, but some of it's duplicated.
Okay. And then also, just to make sure I understand the nature of this request, so this property has been operating as a contractor's office with open storage, and there's also a cell tower on site.
That's right.
And so you're not changing that. You're just this PD zoning then will I guess make the use consistent with the zoning. Is that?
Yes, ma'am. It'll memorialize the use.
Okay.
But it's currently and historically been used as contractors with open storage. This would be without.
Oh, without open storage?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that it would be in conformance with the comp plan.
I see, thank you. And there's no zoning, there's no code enforcement proceeding?
No, ma'am.
All
there's
right.
not. This is all self-imposed.
Okay, I understand, thank you. And then the PD variations, you had fence height and you had the buffering and screening. You're requesting the existing wetland and forestation in lieu of the required buffering and screening. Was there another variation?
No, ma'am. Those are the three.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jared Fallon with Development Services. So this is a request to rezone a parcel from AS1 to planned development to bring the existing use and site into conformance and to allow future expansion. The current use on the property is a contractor's office with open storage, currently a non-conforming use, and has an approved cell tower. Proposal includes allowing up to 15,000 square feet of contractor's office with enclosed storage and 2,034 square feet of professional service uses. The site includes 2 parcels labeled A and B to be developed separately. However, an option to develop the site together under one unified site plan is proposed. Both options are cap the floor area ratio at 0.05. The subject site is generally located at 14338 and 14350 North Highway 301, which is in the rural service area. Surrounding properties are zoned agricultural, consisting of large lots and sparsely populated with single-family homes. The nearest residential use is to the north, containing a single mobile home near the boundary of the subject property. The development is proposing a 20-foot wide buffer with an 8-foot solid wood fence and vegetation required in Type B screening standards, except for the western 125 feet, which is currently wetlands and contains natural vegetation. The applicant has requested a variation along this boundary to allow the 8-foot high fence and for the western 125 feet to not require the buffer and screening and to utilize the existing vegetation. The applicant has also submitted a variation to the western and southern boundaries to remove the buffer and screening requirements. Normally would require 20-foot Type B. A majority of the western portion of the property is wetlands and contains dense vegetation, so we have no issues with these requests. The frontage of the property along Highway 301 does not require buffer and screening, but the development has proposed a 50-foot wide building setback along this roadway. Staff finds no issues with the proposed PD. The applicant has included adequate buffering and screening to the northern property, and the requested variations are acceptable due to the presence of the existing wetlands. We find the PD approvable, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Thank you.
All right, Planning Commission?
Willa Mickey, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located northwest of Fort King Highway and north of the intersection of Fort King Highway and McIntosh Road. The site is in the rural area and is not located within the limits of a community plan. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from AS1 to planned development for the use of a contractor's office without open storage. Their current future land use category is residential 1 and is consistent with the intent of the rural area policies. The proposal is consistent with Objective 2.2 relating to the maximum level of intensity or density and range of permitted land uses allowed in each category, as well as Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1, which require new development to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Surrounding the site are single-family residential uses located to the north, south, southwest, and southeast. There are natural buffers such as wetlands in the southwest portion of the site and Fort King Highway to the west that help mitigate impacts on adjacent residential properties. A condition of approval has been included to prohibit open storage on the site, as well as the inclusion of the buffering and enhanced screening proposed on the northern boundary, addressing the compatibility concerns with the adjacent residential area. As a result of these factors, the proposal meets the intent of Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1, as well as the Policy 3.1.2 relating to transition of use. The subject site does not meet commercial locational criteria. In this case, the closest qualifying intersection from the site is located at the intersection of Fort King Highway and McIntosh Road, approximately 2,500 feet away. Given that there are natural buffers on the east, south, and west property boundaries, as well as the buffering and screening on the northern boundary, the requested CLC waiver can be supported. The Planning Commission staff recommends that the waiver be granted as the proposal meets the intent of Objective 4.7 and its associated policies on CLC in the rural area. Based upon the above considerations and the following goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? This is in support of this application.
Your Honor, I'm not sure because I'm not sure whether they agreed to make this a condition of the zoning. We're the northernmost neighbors.
All right.
Jim Hepner and Ed Cosgrove.
And I need your address too, please.
The address is 14402 North US Highway 301, Notasasa, Florida.
All right, thank you.
The master asked the engineer whether or not this language that he had put up, the language we had agreed on, would be made a condition of zoning. If it's a condition of zoning, then we don't have to move forward with our conditional objection that we previously filed. So is the language a condition of zoning? If it is, then there's no objection. If it's not, then yes, we will wait to object.
Okay, then your testimony is you're an adjacent property owner, is that correct?
The northern neighbor, yes.
Okay.
30-acre, $2 million homestead slated for subdivision.
All right, and you are expressing objection to the zoning if this condition here is not part of it, is that correct?
Correct.
And is it your testimony then that you had conversations with the applicant or his representative, and this is what you agreed on?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And
if this language is put in the zoning order, we're fine. If it's not, then we would get into all of the reasons why we would object.
okay, I understand. Thank you. That's all I need.
So is it, I mean, Mr. McNeil could easily answer, we're at the fork in the road. Do they agree this is a condition of zoning or not? You ask him that point blank, and he kind of waffled on it.
Okay, I understand. Development Services, could you address that, please? Could this language actually be made into a condition of the zoning?
Michelle Heinrich, Development Services. We weren't aware of this proposal until the beginning of this application, so I can't really speak to the materials, if that would meet or, be possible, the required screening. I would say that right now, what they're proposing is more restrictive than what is currently the condition is. So while that's not included in our staff report, that can certainly be taken in tonight and at the direction of the hearing officer be included or not included.
Okay, thank you for addressing that. So, sir.
We had provided this to the commission last week, Mike Smith up at the office, which I know how it takes a while for things to circulate.
And then, as of then, or as of right now, it is part of the record, and your testimony is part of the record. What I would like to hear from you is, and right now we're in the part of the public hearing that is for support, but if you would go ahead and express to me, get it on the record, what your opposition would be if this is not part of the conditions, and I would like to hear that as well.
Well, when we came to the property back in 1983, it was essentially an empty lot and a mobile home that had previously been used as a contractor's license, but there was no ongoing business there. Since that time, the business use, the commercial use, the non-conforming use has exploded into become a very busy, noisy, big business with a 200-foot cell tower, trucks, vehicles, lots of business activity. And we like our neighbor. We support them in a successful business. We just want to be buffered from all the noise, pollution, and all that. And hey, you said you'd build a 600-foot tall fence, buffering trees to separate that busy business from us. And if you do that in the language you agreed, okay, fine. But if you're not going to do that, no, stop interfering with our quiet enjoyment use of our 30-acre residential homestead. That's country out there. And so we need sufficient buffering and protection for our valuable homestead. You agreed to it. Why is it that you won't put it in the order? Why is it you're not putting in the paperwork? You say one thing, you write another. So we're here to object about that. Just agree in writing to put it in the order, like you said you would, and we're fine, there's no problem. But if not, then, hey, we're unprotected and we object.
Okay. Sir, in your experience then over the past
30 years.
30 years, has the operation of this property in the manner that it has been operated, has it interfered with your quiet enjoyment of your property?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that if this condition that is proposed is added, then that would alleviate the interference?
I believe so.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the other gentleman wishes to speak?
No, I'm quite fine. That explained it very well.
All right. Would you just state your name?
My name is Edward Cosgrove, 14402 North US Highway 301.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. And both of you, please sign in with the clerk.
Thank you. And I please wanted to make sure you had our conditional objection that we had previously filed.
Yes, and you can put it in the record tonight also if you wish.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? I do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Applicant, anything further?
Yes, ma'am. Just wanted to show back here on the PD variation slide, if I may, for a minute. Just to note there in the top right-hand corner, that additional fencing material detail requested, which is written out. There's no objection to the description of what they have. The only input that I've provided was just how we would normally word it as a condition, and if that type of detail would be included in the condition. But there's no, I think the main thing that is trying to be accomplished, that there be some method of accountability, that the fence be constructed reasonably and of this detail. And so that detail has been provided not only here, but in their condition as well. And if it can turn into a condition on the conditions of approval, that would be great as well.
Okay, that was the question I would have for you then. If that detail were to be included as a condition of the zoning, the applicant would accept that, would not object, is that correct?
That's correct, no objection at all.
Okay.
That was my only concern as far as wording, just from a technicality standpoint, so.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Great, good neighbor relationship will continue.
All right, thank you. This will close the hearing then on rezoning PD 25-0270.
Our next item is item D5, PD 25-0274. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from AS1, RSC4, and RSC6 to planned development. Sam Ball with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Do you have a presentation?
Nope.
No, okay.
No PowerPoint from us. We're old school. Good evening, Madam Hearing Master. Clayton Brickelmeyer with Hillward Henderson, 101 East Kennedy, representing the applicant. This is a nursery in Seffner that is ready to turn into residences. In the interest of time, I'm gonna thank staff for the recommendations. I'm not gonna run through all the facts. What I do have for you, Madam Hearing Master, is I'm gonna read in, I don't know what you've seen and what you haven't seen. We had some enhanced buffering and screening that we'd gotten to by working with the neighbors that I'm gonna read in. So along the eastern boundary, we're providing a 35-foot buffer. It's going to be, there is a buffer depicted on the plan. I do not think it says 35 feet right now. I think it says 30. That'll be 35 feet. Along the northern boundary, a 15-foot buffer will be provided. I think that's already shown. And along those two boundaries, We're proposing a screening standard that's going to be a 6-foot PVC fence and a row of shade trees, minimum of 8 feet in height at time of planting, minimum 2-inch caliper, planted no more than 35 feet apart. And then we kept, I'm sure you've seen this language in other things, there are some large trees out there, so we have left in the language that's standard saying existing vegetation, excluding hazardous and non-native species, may be used in lieu. So we certainly don't want to tear down a nice tree to replace it with an 8-foot tree. All that subject to review and approval by Development Services. That is one of the things that we got to by working with the neighbors. I do want to go ahead and remove the suspense that you might have. I think you are going to hear a lot about the cross-connection points to the east and probably also to the north. We are agnostic on those. We want staff approval, and we got it by including those cross-access points. We're fine including them, we're fine not including them. The code requires them, so they appear. I know that's caused a lot of gnashing of teeth in the neighborhood, and we've heard it and understand it. We do have the team here. I think I'll save the rest of my time for rebuttal. The team is here. We have our planner, our civil engineer, and our traffic engineer are all here in case you have any questions. If you have any questions now, we're available.
Just to clarify, the conditions you read into the record, are those changed conditions, or are those in the staff report?
I don't think that this version, no. The screening standard is definitely not in there. And I can't remember if the 35 feet made it in there or not.
Okay.
The 35 feet is mentioned under 6.0 in proposed conditions.
Okay.
But the screening standard was not included. That's, we decided that I would read it in.
Okay. All right. I have that then. Thank you.
Good deal. Thanks.
Good evening, Sam Ball with Hillsborough County Development Services. The applicant is requesting to rezone from AS1, RSC6, and RSC4 to planned development to allow for 140 single-family conventional dwellings. The subject property is currently developed for agriculture and single-family use. All the existing structures will be required to be removed prior to the development. The subject property is located along the east side of Kingsway Road, approximately 0.6 miles south of Interstate 4 between US 92 and Old Hillsborough Avenue, and Kingsway Road is a designated scenic corridor. The area is primarily developed for single-family use with lots ranging in size from 6,000 square feet to 3.8 acres. Other uses in the area include a public library and a public elementary school. The applicant is not requesting any waivers or variations from the LDC, but a private road located along the southern 35 feet of the original property is being removed from the rezoning application through the certified parcel process, which must be completed prior to approval of the PD to avoid the creation of a non-conforming lot. Staff finds that the proposed development standards comply with the intent of the RC 10 standards of the LDC for the 40-foot lots. The 40-foot lots are limited to no more than 44 lots and are configured in such a way that each one would front a 50-foot lot. The 40-foot lots are required to be at least 110 feet deep, which is sufficient to allow for the garage and to be set back at least 20 feet from the front property line and to allow for off-street parking. The 40-foot lots are also restricted to an area that is surrounded by building envelopes that require 50-foot lots, and the 40-foot lots will not be visible from public right-of-ways or neighboring properties. The applicant is also proposing the 35-foot buffer along the western boundary of the site and the 15-foot buffer along the northern. These buffers are not required by the LDC. It's an addition. And so based on the proposed use to development standards, staff finds the proposed planned development compatible with the existing zoning and development pattern in the area and recommends approval subject to conditions. That concludes my presentation if you have any questions.
No questions for you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Planning Commission.
Willowmickey, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located east of North Kingsway Road and south of East US Highway 92. The site is in the urban service area and is within the limits of the Seffner Mango Community Plan. The subject site has a future land use designation of residential 4, and the applicant is requesting a planned development in order to develop 140 single-family dwelling units. The residential 4 feature land use category is intended for agricultural, residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, and multi-purpose projects. As the language states above, the residential uses are allowed, and therefore the proposal meets Objective 2.2 in the associated policies. The proposal meets the intent of Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of single-family residential. The proposed request will complement the area as well as the surrounding neighborhoods to the east, north, and south. The subject site is within the limits of the Seffner Mango Community Plan. The community plan seeks to enhance community character and ensure quality residential and non-residential development. The proposed rezoning to develop 140 single-family units aligns well with the Seffner Mango Community Plan. Based upon the above considerations and the following goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? Do not hear anyone. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, please come forward if you wish to speak in opposition to this application. How many speakers do we have? Raise your hand, please, or stand up. Looks like we have 4. All right. Let's see. All right, that's about 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Hey, good evening. Kevin Cash, 903 Gambit Place, Seffner, Florida. Speaking to you on behalf of myself and also the Shangri-La HOA. We're a 119-member HOA that is just east and north of this proposed development. We're not against the development per se of this property. The issues we have are more around the density of it. The size of these lots, 4,400 square foot lots, is, by my rough math, is what, 10 homes per acre? Even the bigger lots are 8 homes per acre. That does not fit in with the surrounding community and the pressure it's going to put on the roads around that. But our bigger concern is the runoff from these properties. This is a lot of asphalt, a lot of sidewalks, a lot of rooftops, and not a whole lot of green space. Now, we've seen they've put a retention pond on the southwest corner of the property. We live downhill of this property. Everything that's been put in around us over the last 15 to 20 years has affected the drainage of our neighborhood. We live on a very small lake that when the neighborhoods were put in 50 years ago, 2 neighborhoods drained into that lake. Now there's 7. Each time another new neighborhood gets put in around us, our flooding issues get worse and worse and worse. Last year, when the big one hit, 20 homes around that lake flooded, mine included. And we're having issues repeatedly over and over and over again. And the county's response typically is just, well, sorry, you live at the bottom of a closed basin, deal with it. Well, we were not in a flood zone when we bought our house. Nobody was. Our area was not a flood zone 50 years ago. It only became a flood zone because of all the things they put around us that don't have sufficient capture ability for their stormwater runoff. I went riding my bike around yesterday after we got 5 inches of rain this week. Almost every retention pond and drainage ditch I could find within a 1.5 mile circle of my house was empty. But our lake went up a foot. 5 inches of rain, it went up a foot. That's the problem we're dealing with. 3 more feet, that water's in my house. So to go up a foot in 1 week on just 5 inches of rain sets us up for trouble over and over and over again. We've gotten to the point now where every year our backyards disappear. If you have a shed in your backyard, it's underwater. And if a big one hits like last year, you got fish swimming through your living room. So what assurances do we have that when someone puts 140 homes in such a tight piece of property like this that's directly uphill of us, what assurances do we have that that water that's produced from that is going to be captured and not flow down the hill to us like every other development around us has? That's our concern. We want assurances that they will capture the runoff and not have it affect our properties, because we've seen over and over and over again developments put in around us, and engineers like these folks here stand up and go, it's not going to have any effect on you. We're going to be self-contained. It won't affect you one bit. And we've seen over and over again where that's been wrong, and it has affected us. So that is our main opposition to this property. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Be sure and sign in with the clerk. I need you to sign in. Thank you.
Elizabeth Belcher, 617 Penn National Road, Seffner, Florida, 33584. Per statement provided by KB Homes, I have it here and I would like to put it into the record. It says that the county is requiring them to put an access onto Penn National, and they cite code 6.0201 as the reason. The land code development requires the new subdivision to have an access to a county-approved and maintained road. They have an access to that by Kingsway. And KB further stated that if we, the residents, ask for elimination of Penn National Access Road at the zoning master hearing, they will eliminate it. Well, we're asking for the elimination of access and have been doing so since we became aware of the proposal. Now that we have made the request at the zoning master hearing, KB Homes must honor their promise and remove Penn National access. This means submitting a new site plan with the access to Penn National eliminated. May 28th is the last site plan KB provided, and it still showed Penn National access. The site plan is the controlling document regarding this site plan. If the denial of Penn National access is only in a written requirement, the May 28th site plan will be the controlling document. Before approval can be granted, KB must be required to submit a new site plan with the elimination of Penn National Road, in addition to statements made today by the KB representative stating that there was additional things that they were going to do. They should also be included in the new site plan. As a site note, KB seems to be doing what a lot of developers do, promising something outside the zoning master hearing in the hopes that citizens will believe this will be official and will not show up for the zoning hearing master, so they can continue with their original proposal. On February 14, 2025, National Resources submitted a statement to the zoning application. It discussed in length the requirement to preserve trees on the property, especially the grand oaks. On the last site plan, there's no notation on where the trees are to be preserved or located. Since KB will have to submit another site plan eliminating access to Penn National, the preserved trees should be included into the plan. Without documentation on where the trees are located, it will be impossible to determine if any trees are preserved. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, next speaker, please. Next speaker, please come forward.
Yes, my name is Herbert Belcher, 617 Penn National Road, Seffner, Florida. I'm here in opposition, specifically concerning the runoff and the water retention issue from this development into our subdivision. Our rights are good. We live there. We don't need a water runoff. That's the problem. They're not taking into account the water runoff. They think that they're going to put in some retention ponds and that's going to be it. It's not going to happen. Water flows down slope. There's nothing you can do to stop it. I appreciate your stopping this. It's just ridiculous. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Please be sure and sign in.
Yes, I will.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is William Krupa. I'm speaking on behalf of the HOA of Hickory Hills and the 181 homes included in it. We thank you for the opportunity to share our concerns about the proposed subdivision known as Arbor Bluff and the impact it's going to have on our community. Hickory Hills subdivision was developed in the 1980s. We're a small community of 181 homes built on 1/3 acre lots. Our subdivision is off a quiet road, Old Hillsborough Avenue, in an area that includes a strawberry field, single-family homes with large lots, and a couple of small subdivisions. Many homeowners moved here for our quiet rural community. Those of us who have been here since the community was first developed have seen a number of changes take place over the years. Orange groves have been cleared to build subdivisions. Vacant parcels of land with huge oak trees have been cleared to build storage units. Other areas have been cleared to build schools to accommodate the increased student population. For the most part, during all of this progress, our small community has remained untouched. When we heard that Robert's Nursery was being sold and a subdivision was being planned, we were sorry to hear that more trees would be torn down to pave the way for progress. We didn't realize how much the new subdivision would impact our community until we heard that a dead-end road in our neighborhood was going to be connected to Arbor Bluff, allowing more traffic to flow through our subdivision. A number of years ago, Hickory Hills was connected to another subdivision that it abuts. The opening of that road created increased traffic in our community. Many of the cars that travel through our subdivision on a daily basis don't obey the speed limit or stop signs. They coast through intersections, and we've had numerous near-miss accidents. When we heard about Penn National Road being open to Arbor Bluff, we knew it would only make our traffic situation worse. We understand that progress can't be stopped, but the extension of Penn National Road into Arbor Bluff is unnecessary and will create a change that will negatively impact so many of our residents in Hickory Hills. Penn National runs through a portion of our community that is very quiet, making it an area where many homeowners take walks with their children and ride bikes. If Penn National Road is open to Arbor Bluff, there will be a path with few turns or traffic calming measures to connect to the existing neighborhood behind us. We are certain this will lead to increased vehicle speeds. Again, we know we can't halt progress and Arbor Bluff will be approved, but the issue that will affect Hickory Hills subdivision, the one that is most important, can be prevented. If Penn National Road cannot remain a dead-end street in Hickory Hills, we strongly urge that the proposed extension be locked off and made available to emergency vehicles only. We are also asking that Penn National Road not be used during the construction of Arbor Bluff. We thank you for consideration of our concerns.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, not hearing anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, and applicant.
Yes, thank you. Clayton Bricklemeyer again. I will run through the buckets that I just heard, and I've got our civil engineer to address specifically the stormwater design and the tree preservation process. Just following up on Penn National again, just to reiterate, we are fine having that connection. We are fine not having that connection. That is solely up to the board with your recommendation. We are fine if it's reduced to emergency access. That's also fine with us. It's not anything we've planned on. I can tell you that the traffic study, if you look, doesn't show very much going on at that intersection anyway. There's a condition, just to quell the one fear that I just heard, there's a condition requiring construction traffic to take its access off Kingsway. I think it's condition 17. Sam put that in there, which we're good with. The density, just to put it on the record, is between the required 3 and the planned 4. And I will let Brad handle stormwater, because all I know is what he said. It rolls downhill, so.
Hi, Brad Cool, Height Design, 5907 Hampton Oaks Parkway, Tampa, Florida, 33610. And to address, I'll try to address the comments in order here.
All right, and just to be clear on the record, are you an engineer?
I'm the engineer of record, yes. Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Not clarifying.
Thank you.
So to answer the first gentleman's concerns about the drainage, actually Shangri-La is in a separate drainage basin from us, so they should not be affected by the drainage, the runoff from our pond. These are closed basins in this area, and we will be required to design our pond to accommodate the 100-year, 24-hour storm event, as is required by the Hillsborough County LDC. And again, it should not discharge and affect their basin. They're 2 separate closed basins. To answer the second round of concerns regarding the trees and screening, we are going to do everything we can to preserve the existing trees as is. That just is typically reviewed under the construction plan process. To answer the third gentleman's concerns, again, we are retaining the 100-year 24-hour storm event as is required by the Hillsborough County LDC. And then as for the last gentleman's concerns, again, I heard some screening concerns, and we'll address those at the construction plan review process. And that's all I have, unless there's other questions from you.
No questions for you. I understand. Thank you. Be sure and sign in with the clerk's office.
That's all I have. I guess I would reiterate that we left the natural vegetation language into that screening condition specifically to make sure that no trees accidentally were removed. But that is all. We would ask for your recommendation of approval unless you have any questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, this closes the hearing on rezoning PD 25-0274. We are going to take a quick break of 5 minutes. We'll be back at 8:31. All right, we are reconvening. If you could please take your seats. And we are reconvening the... Ready to call the next case, please.
Our next application is item D6, PD rezoning 25-0447. The applicant is requesting to rezone property currently zoned PD and AR to PD. Chris Granlenor with Development Services will provide staff findings after the applicant's presentation.
Good evening, Margaret Chisone, Landis Evans and Partners. My address is 3810 Northdale Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, and I have been sworn. The applicant is requesting a planned development district rezoning. The subject 33-acre property is located on Fowler Avenue, west of I-75. This is an area of the property. You can see the existing structure. A portion of the property is currently zoned agricultural and has been developed as a church facility for 20 years, and the remaining land is zoned planned development and is currently vacant. The properties to the north are zoned AS1 and AR. The properties to the west are zoned AS1, RSC9, and PD. Zoning of the adjacent single-family residential properties to the east is RSC2, and there are commercial properties to the south. Adjacent uses include agricultural land to the north, single-family and commercial to the west, commercial uses to the south, and single-family to the east. The property is within the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category, as are all the surrounding properties. So with this rezoning, we're proposing to incorporate the entirety of the parcel into a planned development district rezoning, or district zoning, to permit the expansion of the existing church facility, which again has been there for 20 years, and provide for accessory uses including a worship hall, bookstore, offices, storage, cafe kitchen, pastor dormitories, activity center, and recreational courts. We are requesting a variance to Section 606 of the Hillsborough County LDC, which requires a 10-foot landscape buffer with type A screening, which provides for a screening option of a 6-foot fence or wall and a 4-foot fence or wall maximum in front yards. We are requesting a maximum 6-foot fence or wall in front yards and a maximum 8-foot fence or wall in all other yards be permitted within the 10-foot landscape buffer to ensure adequate privacy for both the neighbors and the church congregation. Staff has found both of these variation requests supportable. And since it's been a long night, to summarize some of these key findings of the staff report, staff has found the request to be compatible with nearby development patterns. The Planning Commission has found the proposed development to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. There are no objections from any reviewing agencies, and staff has found the request approvable. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation and respectfully request your recommendation of approval. I also have letters of support from 4 neighbors, and I'm happy to point out where they're from, to enter into the record tonight, and myself and a technical team is available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And those letters of support, you said you're putting them in the record tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chris Granlenor again, Development Services. Here to present PD 25447. The applicant proposes to rezone a 33.64 acre parcel from AR, agricultural rural, and PD 84-0339, planned development to PD 25457 to allow for an existing church expansion with the worship hall and the following accessory uses and buildings: a welcome center, bookstore, cafe and kitchen, administrative offices, security check, and storage. Also, a dormitory is proposed with 27 beds, and an activity center and recreational courts are also proposed. The surrounding uses are primarily residential, which makes the proposed church facility an ideal residential support use for the area. The development is located on East Fowler Avenue, State Road 582, principal arterial with access to the University of South Florida Community Center, with access to the University of South Florida Community, so further to the west. The surrounding single-family residential to the north, east, and west are provided adequate buffering and screening of 10-foot type A buffer with an enhanced an enhanced 8-foot high wall fence along the boundary. Therefore, the rezoning of the subject parcel from agricultural, rural, and PD to PD to allow for an existing church expansion and a worship hall with accessory uses would be consistent with the existing zoning pattern of the area. Staff finds the request approvable, subject to proposed conditions. Glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Planning Commission.
Willow Mickey, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located north of East Fowler Avenue, east of I-75, and west of Rock Hill Road. The site is in the urban service area and is located within the limits of the Tonota-Sassa Community Plan. The applicant is requesting a planned development to add acreage to the existing PD to include the entire parcel's area and to permit a church. The church will include a welcome center with administrative offices, a bookstore, and a cafe. A family activity center and dormitory units for worship leaders are also proposed. The site is in the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category, which is intended for urban intensity and density uses. The proposed use is an allowable use in this land use category and meets Objective 2.2 and the associated policies. The proposal meets the intent of future land use section Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of single-family residential, agricultural, public, quasi-public, institutional, and light and commercial. The proposed rezoning is compatible with the surrounding area. A church is considered a residential support use according to Policy 4.6.1 and is an allowable land use in any of the residential, commercial, and industrial land use plan categories. With the included buffering and screening that is being proposed, as well as the proposed use being a residential support use, the request fits in with the surrounding land use pattern and established uses in the area. Based upon the above considerations and the following goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application? If you wish to speak in support, please come forward. So we have, let's see how many speakers we have. How many speakers, if you could raise your hand, please? Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there 4? Okay, so we've got 15 minutes. All right, so that's about 3 minutes and 45 seconds apiece.
My name is Kamlesh Sidaji. I live at, my address is 19532 Whispering Brook Drive, Tampa. From the beginning, I've been an active member and worshiper at this facility. I've seen how important the space has become. As a father to my own children, they're immersed in the activities on a regular basis. It's truly a community-focused family facility, which has until now met our needs. But as you all know, Tampa has grown remarkably quick and fast and rapidly. So has our congregation. So what once comfortably served our community can no longer meet our growing needs. So I would like to respectfully request that this rezoning application be approved to allow to better facilitate programs that enrich the community. Approving this expansion will ensure that future generations have the space they need to thrive, grow, learn, and contribute to the community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir. All right, next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Kushbu Patel. I live at 3651 Capitol Reserve Drive, Plant City, Florida. And I would like to respectfully express my full support for the applicant's rezoning petition for the expansion of this facility. As an active member of this congregation, I've seen firsthand how quickly this community has grown and the good that this community has done over the years. And this expansion is vital to be able to continue these meaningful programs, events, and community service that we've done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Nishta. My address is 11010 Tortola Aisleway, Tampa, Florida. As a member of this temple congregation, I fully support the applicant's rezoning petition to allow for the expansion of this temple. As an active youth in this community, I have seen firsthand the positive impact it has made on many youths such as myself, whether it's through teachings of educational forums or it's through community service or different cultural avenues. I have seen that direct impact on a community such as myself. I believe this expansion is essential to accommodate our new and growing community, and it will help us preserve culture, and it will allow us to ensure that we are able to support the worshiping and the service that our community likes to offer. Thank you for your time today and the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you. All right, next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Rima Bahansoni. My address is 19201 Verdant Pasture Way, Tampa, Florida, 33647. As a dedicated member of Temple congregation, I fully support the applicant's rezoning petition to expand our temple. This expansion is very important to enhance our educational and youth activities. Our children and young adults need more space for learning, cultural activities, and community engagement. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant, anything further?
Unless you have any additional questions, we have nothing further. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. This closes the hearing on rezoning PD 25-0447.
Our next application is item D7, PD 25-0500. The applicant is requesting to rezone property from AS1 to Plan Development. And I will note this is being heard concurrently with the comprehensive plan amendment. So both this this PD rezoning and the proposed comprehensive plan amendment will be heard together on the August 14th public board meeting date, and that's at 6 p.m.
All right, applicant.
Thank you, hearing officer. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is RZPD 25-0500. This is a request from AS1 to PD for 9.5 acres with a companion 2501 comp plan. Located way out west near Plant City. As the property appraiser has it, see James Redmond, State Route 60, and a little closer, again, the same location shown by the property appraiser. Development Services and Planning Commission support, no agency objections, noticed 12 individuals. I checked this morning, there were no letters or emails on file. This is a family agriculture trucking business, and some of the Navarros are here today. Patiently waiting for the last hearing. And I have a couple of letters to put in the record from Mr. and Mrs. Navarro, who could not be here this evening, so we wanted to put their comments in the record for the Board of County Commissioners. So what is proposed, again, is seeking AS1 to PD for one residential unit with a truck dispatch office, warehouse uses, open storage for 9 commercial and domestic vehicles. Navarro Produce, basically they are working on a weekly basis, trip to Texas, and they bring back agricultural products from Texas. This is one of their trucks with the family, and is here, and another truck of theirs. Plant City Farm and Flea Market is one of the largest independent farm markets in the Southeast, which is what they help stock. It's a very large facility. These are just some shots to make you a little bit more aware of the business and some of the trucks that they work with. So the site plan on State Route 60 is a very deep parcel. What's proposed is the warehousing, interior dry storage 9 commercial domestic parking spaces, a residential home and office in front. The residential home and the structure for the warehousing is currently existing. 600 plus feet to the residential lot to the north, which has a tremendous amount of forestation. I have it at about approximately 482 feet, more or less, from State Route 60, so it's very deep into the site. And as an aerial, you can see to the north is very well buffered, and the activity of what's proposed for trucking is very far to the interior of the site from State Route 60. There's a large intensive agricultural use on the west. There's a very intensive use on the east, and a church compound a little bit further to the east. On the east abutting is Happy Pets Daycare. This is from the internet, doggy daycare, pet boarding, dog grooming, dog care services, things of that nature. And the next parcel over is what appears to be a very active church. They have a lot of events, a lot of activities occurring. Now, next door is the intensive agriculture use abutting. And I think it's just important to note that right next door, of course, they can have trucks and heavy equipment for the agricultural use. Can't here. On one side of the fence you can, on one side you can't. Store trucks here, can here. Very intensive use next door because of it's a large and active agricultural element. We're seeking to do something a little bit at a much lesser scale. I think it is important to note, maybe it's a little bit of a side consideration, but under the zoning category considerations, AS1 agriculture uses are permitted, but agricultural equipment storage is not. So one of the decisions I had to make at the beginning was, do we revert this back to an older category or a less intensive category, AM or A, come under conditional use, but they have the residential use and other uses, so that didn't really work. But that leads to the point that the comp plan strongly endorses and supports agricultural uses. State Route 60 itself is a very busy arterial road, 21,500 vehicles per day. It is part of the county, or it is a state principal arterial roadway, and is part of the Hillsborough County Board Commissioners' truck routes in the county as well. Not only are there policies that support agriculture, there's an entire chapter that supports agriculture in the comp plan. Some of those is general consideration 5.1, recognition of importance of agriculture as an industry, valuable economic resource, promote economic viability of agriculture activities, its unique characteristics in land planning. Agriculture and agriculture support uses are preferred uses in rural areas. I think that's a critical component under 5.2.5 of the comp plan. 5.2.4, agriculture-related commercial uses more intensive or heavy than neighborhood-serving commercials may be considered in the rural land use categories. 5.1.8, support existing agriculture uses and historical component of the community, their economic importance to the county. Encourage agriculture uses within and around such centers of agriculture market centers, which they are a part of, and agriculture and agriculture-related uses shall be permitted in non-rural land use categories 5.1.6. Development services note that it is compatible, it's in keeping with the general development pattern. The proposed setback is a strong consideration. The proposed 0.021 FAR is below the 0.75 maximum FAR allowed. Planning Commission notes it meets the intent of Objective 4.4 and 4.4.1 that new development be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. They note the proposed PD aligns with the character of the surrounding area, compatible, consistent as such. So with that, we appreciate your consideration. Happy to answer any questions, and I'll put these two letters in the record if I may.
All right, thank you. No questions for you.
Good evening, Tanya Chapela, Development Services. The applicant is proposing to rezone from AS1 to planned development to allow one single-family residential unit with a truck dispatch office, warehouse uses, open storage for 9 commercial vehicles and 9 domestic vehicles. Comprehensive Plan Amendment 2501 is pending to change the future land use designation from Res 1 to OC20. OC20 allows a maximum of 20 dwelling units per acre and a 0.75 FAR for a total of 194 residential units, or a total of 316,899 square feet gross floor area. The proposed 0.021 FAR is under the 0.75 maximum FAR allowable in the OC20 comprehensive plan category. The required 30 feet wide buffer type C screening will be provided to residential area along the north and to agricultural uses along the west. To the south, an 8 feet wide buffer will also be provided. No buffer or screening is required to the east, while the proposed setbacks to the east exceed the requirements, reducing the impact of the warehouse building height and bulk. The proposed building height meets the 2-to-1 height restriction along the north, west, and east. The proposed setbacks from the warehouse use to residential provide over 50 feet distance to the closest residential lot to the north. Meanwhile, the proposed setback for the truck and domestic vehicle storage area to the residential lot to the north exceeds 600 feet. The project overall requires a 20-foot wide buffer type B screening along the north and west. The proposal exceeds this requiring by providing a 30-foot wide buffer with type C screening. No buffering and screening for the overall project is required to the east, given the development which is permitted in both agricultural and commercial zoning districts. The proposal includes a 6-foot wide buffer along the east. Buffering and screening along the frontage is not required, given that SR 60 right-of-way is over 50 feet in width. The project is proposed to contain a residential use, office use, warehouse, and open storage use. Given this, the open storage component of the overall project is considered accessory storage, requiring screening from any street view and any residentially zoned property using a 6-foot high wall, wood fence, PVC fence, or shrubbery. The parcel is not adjacent to any residentially zoned parcels. The applicant has agreed to provide a 6-foot high fence along the southern border of the open storage area. Given the above and subject to approval of CPA 2501, staff finds the proposed modification to be compatible with the surrounding properties and in keeping the general development pattern of the area. Staff recommends approval of the applicant's request, subject to approval of the CPA 2501 request and proposed conditions.
All right, thank you. No questions for you. All right, Planning Commission.
Willow-Mickey, Planning Commission staff. The subject site is located north of State Road 60 and east of Mud Lake Road. The subject site is in the rural area and not within the limits of a community plan. The applicant requests to rezone the subject site from agricultural single-family to planned development to allow open storage of commercial and domestic vehicles, interior storage, a single residential home, and office. The nature of the proposed storage of vehicles, interior storage, residential home, and an office do not pose compatibility concerns with the surrounding uses being light commercial to the east and agricultural uses adjacent to the west and south. The subject site is in the residential one feature land use category and has a concurrent comprehensive plan amendment application to change the feature land use to office commercial 20. The request is consistent with what is allowed in this category. The proposal meets the intent of Objective 4.4 and Policy 4.4.1 that require new development to be compatible to the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised of mixed uses. Light commercial, single-family, and agricultural uses are in the immediate area. The proposed PD aligns with the character of the surrounding area, which is consistent with the above-mentioned policies. Based upon the considerations in the following goals, objectives, and policies, Planning Commission staff find the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions set by the Development Services Department.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in support of this application?
Good evening. Okay, good evening. My name is Bianca Navarro, and I reside at 1877 Manitoba Court in Kissimmee, Florida. And I've been with Navarro's Produce for 4 years. As part of our family-owned business, we are requesting to continue use of this property for parking of our semi-trucks. Previously, we've used third-party lots, but faced repeated issues with vandalism to both our trucks and our drivers' vehicles. This actually is what led us to move parking on site for safety and efficiency. Our trucks are always unloaded before arriving here. They remain off. The reefers remain off. Typically, they will stay on property site for 2 to 3 days. We've taken care to ensure our operations don't cause noise or disruptions to our neighbors. We respectfully ask for your support in allowing us to continue using this site as a parking terminal is essential for our logistics and our drivers' peace of mind. Thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Be sure and sign in with the clerk, please. Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Okay. Is there anyone here or online who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? All right, I do not hear anyone. Development Services, anything further?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Applicant, anything further?
Yeah, I do want to clarify. I should explain this a little better. The only function and purpose of this site is for parking the vehicles. So what occurs is the Navarros will drive out to Texas, they'll do a pickup. They then go to the market and they unload everything at the market. Once the trucks are empty, then they bring them here, they park, and that's it. So there's no loading or unloading. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
All right, and the residence, someone lives at the residence? But...
The Navarros.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this closes the hearing on rezoning PD 25-0500, and this concludes the zoning hearing master meeting for this evening.